We are so excited to be here again for another Monday live training in our group. We've been growing and we're so happy that, people are liking what we're doing and we're getting some great feedback. So we're excited to show you all the things we have, in the pipeline. It's really exciting. We've been building a lot of great content. So tell us what we're going to talk about today, Max.
Today we are talking about how to create sustainable habits. So Christina's created this incredible method that is almost foolproof, I will say. It's just tried and true, and it works for her clients in ways that just are truly transformational. So we're going to get a beautiful overview of what that process looks like today. And how you can begin to implement some of these steps into your own life. And we go into much greater detail about how to use this specific strategy in our coursework, but we're giving you the outline of what you need to know in order to really begin to visualize the transformation that your life could take.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. This is my version of a green juice. This is my mango smoothie. So we're going to talk about habits. We're going to talk about how to implement consistency in your life. And if I'm being completely honest and transparent, because I think it's always very important for coaches and professionals to do that, because I don't want you guys to think that we are perfect because we have 5-step methods, because we do all these things that we're those Instagram people and we get up in the morning and we get our exercise in and we meditate and we do our green juice. That is not how our days go, all the time. It's not. But like we talked about last time, we implement certain strategies in our life that allow us to jump back on if things fall down. Or the reason I lost my voice is because I was at a dance competition this entire week for 5 days and working with my husband's business. And I was yelling across the music and everything. And then, and there were lots of things that were not part of my daily routine because I was, in a ballroom all day. And now I'm back on Monday, right back to it. Didn't skip a beat with my juice, doing my thing. And a lot of people can't jump back into things like that, or the world kind of creates these challenges and bumps and then we fall off and, it just snowballs from there. And then now we have to jump back on the horse, which is like starting over again, which is very difficult. And it's a matter of just allowing life to happen. And you could still do fun things and take breaks and do your travel and all that stuff. But know what this goes back to Maggie's core values. What are we working towards? And for me, the smoothie is the nutrition, the vitamin deficiencies or anything that I'm trying to do with my body. And that is a core value of mine that I will not skip. So that comes back to it. Same thing with this group. Maggie and I are committed to creating amazing content and resources for people to get this information out. So I may have lost my voice, but here we are Monday doing our live training. There's certain things that will not be skipped. And so, as Maggie said, I've created a 5-step process that I work with my clients on, that I've been doing this for a few years now. And it's yielded amazing results because I think it fixes the problem a lot of the people who set the New Year's resolutions and then drop off in February. Right. So, Mags, talk to me about, because I'm going to go into this process, but I want to know also from your perspective and your clientele of what is, when it comes to talking about habits or building a daily routine or, morning, evening, whatever, what is the most common problem that you see people have with doing this?
So it's really what you were talking about just before. It's this issue between, or the fine line and balance between flexibility and consistency. So we often think that in order to see massive change in our lives, that we have to be rigid and inflexible. We have to develop these goal-oriented systems and like morning routines that must be followed to the T. And then like, our whole life is just like rigidly structured. And especially as women, that just doesn't work for us. And, we feel like if we miss one part of the routine, that the whole thing is ruined. Or, if we like fall off on a Wednesday, it's like, well, this week is a wash. I'm just going to wait until Monday to get started again. And so the real issue that I find with my clients is like finding this happy balance between consistency, because you can't have change without consistency. That's a fact. You get to be consistent. But there is like so much space for being flexible, which is not really what's taught.
I was gonna say that's not talked about at all.
Yeah. But the flexibility allows you to fail and then wake up the next morning and start all over again.
Right.
When you have this inflexible mindset, it's like, I failed, I'm bad. I can't do this. And so then it discourages you from continuing. And the beauty, I know some coaches who are really inflexible. It's like, it doesn't matter. Like rain, shine, hail, like you're up, you're doing the same thing every single day. That doesn't work for me. It doesn't align with me. And it wasn't until I allowed some flexibility into my life that, and this looks different, just for like thinking about a workout routine. If I am feeling shit one day, at least I go to the gym and at least I'm there and like, I don't give 110%, but I go. Okay. And maybe I just do stretches while I'm there, but I'm at the gym, I maintain. So that's what I mean by flexibility, right? We think that flexibility is like, it's either, white, black, yes, no.
Right. You do it or you don't kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. There's a whole lot. And I forget this man's name, but I use this all the time. Anything worth doing is worth doing badly, right? If you hear enough about anything, it's worth being consistent and showing up, maybe not at your 110% best every day. And I think that's part of the perfectionism that we work with too. It's like, well, if I can't give it 110%, it's not even worth me doing it. Bullshit. Right. Like
totally
your
agree.
50% may rival somebody else's 110%. And so just because we're not always at the top of our game doesn't mean that we have to, scratch everything. So I think what I really see with my clients and why our work aligns so well is this beautiful gift of flexibility inside of consistency that allows you to recalibrate, refocus, and really get back on the horse, even if you have a shit day. So instead of scratching the whole week or the whole month or waiting till the whole new year to start like your goals again, it's sustainable. It's not like these rigid structures that you can't hold up. So I'm super excited for everybody to get to hear and benefit from your system, your method, because it really is, it's a game changer in terms of like focusing on how to position your mindset in a way to be the most successful.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. There was so many golden nuggets in there. I think, the flexibility and consistency. And we talk about that a lot, which I kind of like that we kind of share, how we came together in our friendship and our working relationship, because we give each other consistency. It just happened yesterday, right? We kind of like moved a meeting because of, certain things, and it's okay. That doesn't mean that we're not getting it done. In fact, we came in stronger today because of it versus yesterday may have been, may not have been as clear, but I like how you said also, like, it's a matter of just doing it. You don't have to do it perfectly. And I think in today's world with Instagram, and all of the perfectionism that is shown online of like these trainers and these workout influencers that are like, if you're not in the gym every day doing this work, it's like, I can't do what they're doing. Like, especially coming from like, I'm an athlete and I'm looking at like what they're doing on a daily basis. And I'm like, that will not work for me.
Yeah.
So then I ended up just like you said, I don't do it at all. And we need to get away from that, like Instagram, versus reality kind of thing, because it's what you're seeing online is not how you build habits. Like period, end of story. Like, I'm just going to flat out say it. It's just not how you build habits. You have got to create a routine within yourself, and everyone's journey is different, and it's not one size fits all. And you can't build a habit by following an influencer doing what they're doing, because they did it for them and they built that up. It did not start that way, but they're not showing you how it started. They're showing
calibration and the
the optimizing and all of that stuff. They're showing you the bullseye. And I'm sorry, but nobody hits a bullseye on the first try. I mean, maybe some do, and that's pure luck. but it's not, and I'm not someone who believes in luck, so that's just going to show. But I believe in hard work and I believe in energy and aligning with the universe. But when it comes to like really getting that structure and that routine set right, like you're not going to hit it on the first try. And honestly, that's no fun. Like you want to be, like you want to be able to work your way up to it and like really reap the rewards. It's so much more rewarding when you're like, look how far I've come. Instead of like, yeah, I've been good from day one. Like like that's not even in dancing. Like we say it all the time. I saw people this weekend. Oh my gosh, I'm just so glad that I placed a placement higher. They didn't win the competition, but they placed a placement higher than they did last time. And that means something.
Right.
They're seeing progress and their teacher's proud of them and they're proud of them. So let's get into this without further ado. I call my process, this is really fun just to get started on how this all came about for me. A lot of people know how I got into life coaching, but it's not even about that. For me, it's so many people would ask me, Christine, how do you travel all the time and still maintain a healthy exercise and nutrition routine? Or how do you travel all the time and still, have a good relationship, or keep your business running or whatever? Like they just didn't understand how I did all of these things at a high level and did it while I was doing all this craziness in my life. And again, being honest and vulnerable, like there was a point in time where, I was just doing the entrepreneurial thing and pushing, and it would, lead to burnout. But I continually saw ways and disciplines that I created when I was competing. And was the mesh for me, because I know, Maggie, for you, a lot of your teachings and stuff come from your personal life experiences, like most coaches, of, the self-worthiness and some of that stuff that a lot of people are dealing with, but don't know how to fix it. For me, competing at a very high level, you wake up in the morning at a certain time, you have time to train. I mean, I was looking at some of the pros yesterday, remembering what it was like to compete at that level and being like, oh yeah, and you're on deck at this time and you're warming up and you do your routine by yourself and then you do it with your partner. And like there's certain steps to like kind of like what people say, like a superstition, like it's not, but it's like it is what it is.
Yeah.
A ritual. Yeah. And that like if you do all this the way you did, then you're going to get on the floor and you're going to own it. Like it's not even about winning. It's about owning it and knowing that you did everything right to give yourself success. And the results are the results. Some of those things you can't control based on judges and things like that. But you're never going to leave the floor going, I didn't do enough, And so those disciplines, for doing that for so many years and just doing it at such a level and consistently, just like you said, is what kind of helped me build this system. So I just got married. So my new last name is N.O.E.L. So I call it the N.O.E.L method because it stands for newly optimized efficient lifestyle. And what I like about that is it's new because we need something to shift, right? That's what we're going for. Optimized is exactly what Maggie said. The flexibility, that's what people are not doing. And that's why I think people fall off in January or in February from New Year's resolutions, is because they don't optimize hitting the bullseye. And efficient is a word I thrive by. That is something that I live my life by, is efficiency. If we're not going to execute a plan efficiently, why are we doing it? Let's make a new plan. And then again, it's your lifestyle. This is what we're doing. So it's all about you. And everyone's different. My lifestyle method will not look like Maggie's, and Maggie's will not look like yours, which will not look, everyone has to customize that. And I think that's where Instagram and social media and all of that, those programs fall short, is they're showing you, here's a method, do this and you'll have success. And it's like, okay, but what if that doesn't work for me, that little part, And so when you start to nitpick the little pieces, you realize, oh, okay, I can't do this. This doesn't work. And when it's like, I'm creating strategies for you and you're going to implement it into what works for you.
Right. Because I mean, what works for me is not going to be the same as what works for a mother of three who's working a
Mm,
full-time job, you know, like who
right.
is running her own business. Like, you know, we may have patches where we intersect and like we're entrepreneurs, but like our lifestyles are totally different. And I
Right.
think the way that your method really not only acknowledges but honors that is
Mm,
not like not saying your particular lifestyle is like a weakness to you, but like how can we work with it, right? Because it's like
yes.
some people just totally discount. It's like, oh, you have kids, you're a mom, there's no way you can do this in the morning. But it's like
Right.
that's not really true. The tools and the
It's
strategies
just going to look
are
different.
different.
Yep.
Right, exactly. And I think
Yep.
it's just such an inclusive model that gives so many people access to what they need in order to create change.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I agree. Everyone's going to look different. And I think a lot of people are just looking like, because I was one of those people a long time ago, like, just give me the answer, like, especially for building a business. Like, just tell me what I need to do. Do I need to wake up at 5 a.m. every day and drink my green juice and go to the workout gym and, do all the things? Like, tell me what I need to do and I'll do it. But then they think that because they want the end result and they don't realize that that routine that someone told you to do is not going to work for you.
Mm-hmm.
Your lifestyle is different from theirs. Even if you think you have a similar lifestyle and you don't have all the kids and you don't have all the responsibilities, it's still going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to take strategies, and that's what we do in dancing. We create concepts that can be applied to every style of dance. Right. So my dad was actually someone that taught me this. He created a method in dancing that allows you to understand how to dance with someone else, but also keep your frame and do all of the things that you need to do in dance. And when he teaches this even to pros, there are a lot of times they're learning choreography, they're learning steps. It's like, tell me what I need to do to win, show me the cha-cha routine, and I'll do it. Mm-hmm. And those people don't end up being the best dancers because they're not implementing concepts of your sternum and musicality and these things that are not the same for everybody.
Right.
So when you implement those concepts and you apply it to you or your routine or your couple or your whatever, then that's when you can formulate. And I will say that's a harder job.
Mm-hmm.
It's the concept of I'm going to fix my headache with sleep, ice bath, nutrition versus I'm going to pop an Advil and it'll be gone in 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not sustainable. And that's a Band-Aid. We talked about the Band-Aid. It just doesn't work long-term. So yes, developing this habit, these sustainable habits with a method that is flexible but works for you is you're going to have to formulate this. This is going to take work, but it's going to last. You're not just following somebody else's A to Z and then dropping off because you can't do it, So yeah, so we get that. So we've got 5 steps as Maggie said. And each one is going to, I believe that you have a goal, which creates a routine, and the routine creates a system. And the system is where it becomes sustainable, becomes a part of you. Mm-hmm. So, but then you've got 2 steps in the middle that I think a lot of people miss. And again, when you're seeing this overview of, influencers, this is what they don't discuss. And that's why I think people don't build these habits sustainably. So the first one is just defining the goal. What's your why? What do you desire? Right? We talk about this all the time, Maggie and I, we've created so many lead magnets that tell people how to, build morning habits and create things. And it always starts with, why are you doing this? Right? What is the purpose? What is your core values? What are we working towards? And a lot of people don't even ask themselves those questions. They don't know why they're doing anything. They're like, well, I was told I'm supposed to go to school and that's why I'm getting this degree, but they don't actually want to do it. Or I was told this job is, that I was good at this job. So now I've been here for 20 years and I don't know what else to do with my life, or whatever. And there's no judgment there, but it's, what is your why? Ask yourself the hard questions. What do I want to do with my life? And why am I doing these things? And are the things around me serving that?
Right. Well, I think especially this is not a question that we're really encouraged to ask, especially growing up in education. It's like, just do it. Why? Because I told you so.
Right.
There's that, and in school, it's like, just learn it. What's it for? Just learn it. Just learn it, without like,
That's the process. Yeah.
Right. And so this framework gets us into lives that we're not really thrilled in or fulfilled in and
Totally
happy
agree.
about living. And so encouraging this process of like, why is this something that I want to do in the first place? Because you may realize like it's not actually a goal. And so then why am I working towards this if it's not something I actually give a shit about anyways? And then you can recalibrate and create goals that that are actually in alignment with things that you want by simply asking that question. And it's like the fire that feeds you, because there's like, a gap between what you're doing and the why. Right? It's like, and you sometimes need that why reminder to get you.
Oh yeah. In the tough times. I mean, listen, I had a very successful weekend this weekend with, my husband's company, and we were, busting butt to get, the success was great, but halfway through sometimes, you're waking up, you've had 4 hours of sleep, you're exhausted, you've got another 12-hour day. You're like, why am I doing this again? Oh, yeah. Right. Like you got to that's when it hits you, when you're in the gym and you're like, oh, I'm exhausted. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to do this. Like, wait, why am I doing this? Because I'm seeing results, because I want to, there's this goal. I want to look good in this. I want to, a lot of people, they want to lose weight for their wedding. There's this always, it's like, I got to look good in the dress. And, make sure the why is not a why that is feeding into other people's expectations of you. Yeah. So
say that again.
Yeah. Make sure it's not feeding into other people's expectations of you. So why do we all want to look good in our wedding dresses? Because society wants us all to be skinny, right? Or be fit or have the perfect body, because that's the photos you're going to keep for the rest of your life. You know what? If you're marrying the right person, enjoy it. If you like what you look like, that self-worthiness and that self-love that Maggie talks about all the time, what does it matter what's the number on the scale? You know what I'm saying? Now, if it's an unhealthy number, then yeah, we need to discuss that in a different way. But if it's for vain reasons, you see what I'm saying? That may not be a sustainable why.
Yeah. And I think like, especially with weight, healthy, unhealthy, it's like so hard to really, again, every person is like different. And I think, I went through a period where I gained like 50 pounds in 3 months. I had started taking medication. It was a rapid weight gain. It was not my happy weight at all. My happy weight was I was way underweight. And so then I went overweight. So my happy weight was somewhere in the middle, actually, which I had trouble accepting. But the thing, I had to get behind a why. My why for working out was not anymore because I want to be rail thin, which was what it was before, which was not sustainable and made me sick. The why became, I want to feel healthy in my body. I want to not be winded when I'm out hiking with friends.
Right. Whatever that number looks like.
Right, exactly. And it became not about a number anymore. It became like, what do I feel like?
Yes.
Am I able to do the things that I want to do still? So really, I think that key piece that you said, it's not about like, if our why is centered in somebody else, we're fucked.
Yeah, it's like, not gonna last.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it won't be the driving motivation for you at all.
Truly.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Okay, so then step 2 is eliminating distractions. So this is removing, once you understand what it is we're working towards, what's the why, what we're here for, we got to get rid of the things, the people, the activities in your life that are not serving that goal, that are not serving your why. And this is a hard part for a lot of people because, we talk about it with our business coach, Mags, we talk about, he talks all the time about how people don't want to change their lives. They don't want to get rid of certain friends. They don't want to stop doing certain activities or, and then they're like, he's like, well, do you want to accomplish this goal or not? You know what I mean? Like you can't have both. And it's not the concept of, we can have it all. I can do it all. And I can start. It's not. You have to become a evolved version of yourself. What will that person look like? Right? If you want to have $1 million, right? And you're constantly checking your bank account every day thinking, I don't have enough money, and you live in a broke mindset. What is the person that has $1 million? That version of you, what does she look like or he look like? And what kind of conversations are they having? And how are they Are they saving time instead of researching all these cheap flights? Like what are they doing? So your daily things should change. The people around you should change. Like that's a natural process of evolving into a better version of yourself. Right? By eliminating those distractions.
For sure. And I like just read some research recently that just exploded my mind. The opposite of distraction is not focus. So distraction. So the opposite of distraction is traction. It is like forward progress. It is like grinding into the things, like, latching into those things that are moving you forward. Right. And distraction is like the opposite. You're like slipping. You don't have any like, a solid footing on the things that are actually going to be taking you closer to your goal. So it's the idea of this like a truck, basically. You're distracted. You're like spinning your wheels with these distractions, but traction actually gives you like digs you in so that you can actually create that forward progress. Yeah.
Love that. Yeah. That's awesome. Very, very cool. So yeah. So we know our why. We've eliminated the distractions. We've understood now, which again, what's a lot of what Maggie and I talk about, the less is more, right? We're not trying to add new things. That's what so many people don't realize. They're like, I'm going to create a habit. And so I have to now add a workout routine. I now have to add this. I now have to add that. And it's like, no. Like you can create all this stuff with the bare bones. You need to take out all the things that have stopped you from creating this, right? And that's what's not highly talked about. So that step 2 is crucial. And it's the one that goes under the radar. Step 3 works with the goal, right? So every other. So we're developing a consistent routine, right? So we've got the goal and now we're creating the routine for the goal. So we're creating a plan with a consistent set of habits that are repeated daily for whatever the goal is, right? So if your goal is to find more peace in your life, right? There are certain things you can do for that. You can meditate 10 minutes a day at least. You can journal entry. You can go for walks outside, get some vitamin D, get some fresh air. There's so many things you can do. There's foods you can eat. There's, hang out with some people you like, actually take a break every once in a while.
Stop looking at your computer screen, gaze at the horizon.
That's it. Yeah. Get off social
media.
Like
endless.
Yeah, totally. So you're creating all of these new things that need to be done. Yes, it seems like we're adding, but again, these are things that are working towards the goal. And when you've eliminated all of those things that were not working towards the goal, all of a sudden you have so much free time and so much free energy. It's not even just about the time. It's about the energy, because I could spend 10 minutes talking to someone who drains me of energy and makes me feel like I've been running a marathon for 3 hours.
10 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And you need to make sure that those like catch the red flags in your life of the things that are draining you of your energy very quickly, so that you have more energy and more time to implement these 10-minute meditations and walks around the neighborhood and things like that, so that you can feel more regenerated and refreshed.
And the beauty, the like highlight of this is like, even though, yes, you are adding things in, the things that you are adding are energy generating.
Yes.
So our energy is a renewable resource if we treat it correctly. And once we take out those things that are draining us and add in the things that are actually restoring us, it's not going to feel like, it's one more thing I have to do. Correct. So it's the double payoff of getting energy actually as you're doing these new things.
Totally agree. Yeah, absolutely. So this is where you get the game plan. And I will say, since we're always using the gym one, that's a really easy example. If I wanted to, for me, it's always gaining weight, but for most people, they want to lose weight. Develop a consistent routine. This is maybe where I would hire a personal trainer, which I did when I was trying to put on weight consistently. I did. I had a personal trainer for 9 months. She created the plan for me. It doesn't always need to be you. That's what most people don't understand. It doesn't have to be you creating the plan. You can hire someone. There could be a coach, right? We help our clients create plans all the time. That's what we do. I want to do a morning routine. How do I do that? Cool. Let's talk about, we don't give them our morning routine.
Right.
We create one based on their why and their schedule, what's in their life. And then we start to eliminate those things. And again, we get down 1, 2, 3, boom, right there. So someone needs to create the plan, and then we got to stick to it. Right. So step 4, again, just like the eliminating distractions, this is the one that most people don't talk about. And I honestly think this is the most important step in the entire method, because this is the game changer, right? A lot of people are like, oh, I got my why, I've eliminated things, I'm ready, I'm focused in my life, nothing's going to distract me, and I've got my plan, I hired my personal trainer, or I created a plan with my coach, and we are ready to go, right? They're like, I'm cruising through this. And then they start to get feedback. And feedback is just data. It's just, you're doing the routine. You started, whatever day, and you're a week in, you're 2 weeks in, and you're like, oh, and you start to realize, does this work or doesn't it? Right? Because again, we talked about hitting the bullseye on the first try, right? And honestly, I'm not trying to hit the bullseye on the first try, right? I think that's the misconception, is we're in a world where people think if you don't hit the bullseye on the first try, you're failing.
Right.
And I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to enjoy the journey, getting to the goal. But I don't need to knock it out of the park on week 1, because then I got to set a new goal, which is fine, but I would rather implement it into my life and really optimize it to get to a point. So step 4 is optimizing with aligned action. And this is, in simple form, it's adjusting your routine based on your feedback results, and then repeat as needed for results. So the concept is, you may need to adjust, and you probably will, multiple times based on new feedback coming in, right? So a way that would make sense with that, to explain it a little bit further, is you say you want to get up early in the morning. You want a good morning routine. And you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm not really a morning person, but I'm going to make it happen. So instead of waking up at 11, I'm going to try to wake up at 9, right? And I get up and all that stuff. And, I drink my smoothie and I try to do things, but maybe I jump on to work right away, and I'm trying to figure out, what is the extra 2 hours giving me? Am I actually being more productive? Or am I just trying to find things to do? Because that's what happens to me, is I was told by so many entrepreneurs and successful people, you'll never be successful if you don't start your day at 6 or 7 in the morning. And I've
heard 4 and 5. I'm just like,
yeah, exactly. And so I'm like, okay, well, coming from the dance world, we're doing things super late. We're always that is not sustainable for me. I don't do that. And I could go to bed at 8 or 9, and I still think waking up in the morning, it's just not a time that vibes with me, and maybe it's a mental thing, right? Ross our business coach would probably say, hey, you just need to rework the mindset. Totally fine. But I also let's go back to my why. Why would I do that? I am creating success. My energy management shows that I have peak times between 9 p.m. and 1 a.m. Right? And a lot of people have peak times in the morning between 6 a.m. to whatever, because nobody's bothering them. I said, well, the same thing happens on the other side of the day. So why do I need to be, checking into that time when I can check into this time?
Right.
And I wake up in the morning, and then all of a sudden, I have a headache because I didn't get enough sleep, or I'm forcing myself to wake up versus waking up naturally, or whatever. And if I could set my schedule the way I want to, because I can, why would I force myself to wake up that early? So then I need to adjust. Maybe I need to push it an hour and wake up at 10. Maybe 10 is going to be the sweet spot. You know what I'm saying? But again, that's just based on results. What happened in that first week or 2 of being consistent, right? So I just started doing this, right? I would say maybe 2 weeks ago. And so I've got 2 weeks of feedback results now. And I didn't create the plan, right? My stepmom is a holistic, medicine worker, and she created the plan for me. She told me exactly what to do. I'm sticking to exactly what she said. I've adjusted a couple of things in the first couple of days. I didn't do as much because I couldn't get through it. Then I started adding. I also realized when I do the smoothie at a different time of the day makes a difference, right? And these are the adjustments. This is the work, people. This is the work. This is where people are like, I can't do it anymore. It's not working. I paid this trainer all this money and now I'm not seeing the results I want. So I'm just going to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Right? How many times do we see that?
So many. And I think this all really boils down to like self-trust. So if you're a person who's tried to create change before and failed, like pretty much I would say every single person on earth,
Right.
you may have this belief and idea about yourself that you're not a person who is capable of sustaining, change and following through with your habits. And so we get into this like mentality of, well, am I negotiating with myself? Am I saying, am I really like letting myself off the hook?
Mm.
Am I not, am I stepping back and reprioritizing my goals? And I think the truth is, it's like there may be some of that, and you get to be honest with yourself about what's happening. But that's the key. Talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, am I backpedaling because this is hard? Am I backpedaling because it's not working at all? Like, what's actually happening here? Because the end result shouldn't be this isn't working, I failed. It's like the system isn't working. So what about the system do we get to rework so that it does work? Because we can make anything work with the right system. So I think just really acknowledging that there's probably some self-trust issues where it's like, I don't know if if I backpedal here, am I just not in integrity with pursuing my goal? Am I doing this because it's hard, or am I doing this because it isn't working and I need to find something that works better?
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. Absolutely. And I like what you said about the system. So for terminology purposes, I have goal, routine, system. So the routine is what we want to make sure that we really hone in on. And that's what we're constantly optimizing is this routine. Is this routine working? And I say that because again, that comes from my dance background. Like when you have a choreography, you call it a routine. And it's like, is this choreography, is this routine going to place us first? And if it isn't, what do we need to change? This transition sucks, right? Or this doesn't showcase our skills here or whatever. So we're constantly reworking this choreography until we get a solid, like, this is a winning routine, right? And so same thing, I was thinking, Michael Phelps popped into my head when you said that, was he has all these little quirks and these little things he does before he, competes at the Olympics. And that didn't happen overnight, right? He created a basically customized Michael Phelps routine that he can go on an interview and talk about and explain what he does. And that's not something people can duplicate because that may not work for them, but it's also not something that somebody gave him, right? He took from all these people that gave him all these things, and then he started like doing it and then realizing, ooh, that doesn't work for me. Let me switch this up and then change something. And all of a sudden, over years and years and years of doing this, he's created this routine that every time works. So he goes in there, now he's like, without a doubt, he now has a system that works, right? So that segues beautifully into step 5, which is solidifying the system. Once you have a results-driven routine
that works,
right? That you've optimized multiple times, and you are now hitting the bullseye, let's say 98% of the time with consistency, that is the winning routine. That is how we create muscle memory. That, in dancing, we call it muscle memory. That's how you create, you're solidifying everything to make that system work. And that system becomes a part of you. Right? So when people ask me how I do a lot of these things, the first thing that always pops into my mind is I'm like, what's the first thing you do when you come home from a trip? Most people say, I just want to go to sleep. I want to shower and go to sleep, right? Depends on what time you get there, but I don't want to do anything because I'm exhausted from traveling. Yeah, my husband and I get exhausted from traveling too. There are some days where I'm just like, I cannot stand another minute. I just want to get in my bed and do whatever. And the minute, it's crazy because I've ingrained this in my brain now. The minute I walk into our door, I get a burst of energy. And most people are like, what the hell? That doesn't make any sense. I have created a system of when I get home, I unpack. And people are like, well, you don't have, like, why do you do that right away? Because I need to move on to the next thing. And unpacking means that I'm done. And certain things need to go certain places, and I don't want to be searching for things and living out of my suitcase for the next week because I need to be on the road again.
Totally. Yeah. there's like a point too. It's like, if I don't unpack this, then it's going to be here for a week and I'm going to be living in transition. Like, how do we move from one space to another
Yes.
so that it's just like part of, and I think your body is like clearly responding to this just years of like prep, basically.
Well, because I've usually had to go from weekend to weekend. Now I have more weekends in between, more weeks in between my trips, which is great. So I could just chill and have my suitcase sit there and, whatever for a couple of days. It's not going to be the end of the world. But because I've done this so many years, I walk in to my house and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, let's go. Put the suitcase down. We start going, I take a moment, have a break, but it doesn't feel like work. It just feels like the next step for me. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden I can go to sleep feeling like, okay, we did, I did what I needed to do. And that helps me to close the chapter of right? Because I love what you said there, living in transition. Like, so like, I
can't do it. It's like, it's an energy leak when we have all these loops open and we're just like, it's like,
it's like having windows open on your computer. Yes, when there's too many windows open on the computer, right? There's that meme that goes around that this is my head. So many windows open. Maggie and I know we're always saying we got to close the windows down on the computer because everything's running slow, right? And we don't do that in life. We don't close these loops, as you say. That's so good. So we're always living in transition of all of these things. And that's how we're burning our energy, like closing down apps on our phone. We don't realize that some of these things are still pending in our life and running in the background. It's like, oh, every time you walk by that suitcase, you're like, oh, that one's not closed yet. I still got to do that. And that drains your energy just a little bit. It brings down the battery and it's like, oh, I'll get to it later. But you don't realize the effect it just had on your mindset. One more thing to add to the list. Now I'm tired, and you moved on to the next thing. And every time you see that suitcase, it's a reminder that it's not done.
And it's just like, your shit isn't where it belongs. Like, that's another part of like, systems too. It's like people spend hours of their lives, days,
looking for things,
weeks looking for things.
Oh,
and like, I hate that. Thinking about the open loops too, just because, this is a group for entrepreneurs. How do you transition from work to home? How do you close that daily loop so that you're not constantly like have work open tabs in your mind when you're trying to be present with your kids or with your partner or whatever, just this stuff is applicable across the board to so many things.
Totally agree.
Which is why it's just such a good tool to have. Consciously thinking about that.
Right. Yeah. So just to go back, we're going to, regroup because we're going to end this pretty soon here, but I want to review what we've talked about. So the N.O.E.L method, newly optimized efficient lifestyle, has 5 steps. You start with your goal. You define your goal. What is your why? Why are you doing this? And make sure it's not driven by other people's expectations of why you should be doing things. Step 2 is eliminating your distractions. This is one of the hard steps, right? You have 2 kind of hard steps that people drop off on. Remove the things, people, and activities in your life that don't serve your why, don't serve the goal. Step 3 is developing a consistent routine. So this is where we're setting the plan in place, consistent habits that are repeated daily in order for you to build this new habit. Step 4, again, is the one that I think is the game changer for everything and why most people don't follow through with this, is optimizing. We cannot hit the bullseye on the first try. You have to optimize with aligned action and adjust the routine. You have to adjust the routine based on feedback. And feedback is what is working and what's not. You have to ask yourself these questions and then repeat that cycle as needed. Right? Now you've optimized it once, you get feedback the following week. What worked and what didn't? Let's optimize it again. Repeat as needed for 98 to 100% results. Right? I mean, listen, we live in a human world. We're not perfectionists. I'm not trying to, I am a perfectionist, but we're recovering. And so we don't want to always say 100% every time, because that's not sustainable either. So I always try to say 97, 98%, something around there, but you want to make sure that like you go in there and you're giving it everything every time, and you're going to create results. right? I like the visualization of the bullseye. Like if someone who's been working on this and created a cool, a really solid routine, they know that every time they go in there, or if people who gamble and play poker and do all these things, they know they can win every time. Like there's a system there that's working.
I think like Steph Curry and the free throw shot. It's like, no, he's
Boom.
not going to make 100% of the shots, but he damn near does,
Yeah.
like, and so that's just the same. It's like,
Totally.
yeah, nothing is 100,000,000%
right.
always going to work, but it's like, how can we optimize this so we get to the most effective?
Right. Yeah. Because if you're starting with 15% from the first routine, it's like, we got to work our way up, but you start to see the progress every time you optimize. Yep. And that's what so many people don't do, is they're like, oh, okay, well, it's not working after week 1 or 2. So I'm just going to keep going because I need consistency. Right. Because that's what everybody tells me, is I need to be consistent, and I may not see results right away. And it's going to like start small. And that's not wrong. That is true. But optimize it, change something up. Maybe you're going to tweak one little thing and boom, all of a sudden you're going to go from 15% to like 50% accuracy, right? Just by tweaking one little thing. So be open to optimizing the routine sooner in the routine to create results faster, right? I think that's important. And step 5 is solidifying the system, right? So we have our goal, we create a routine. Now we have a system. Once it's a system, it is results driven. You're hitting 98% accuracy. You're consistent. It's muscle memory. This is a part of you. I walk into my door, boom, my whole body's like, you're exhausted from a long day of travel, but this is what we do every time, right? So we're going to give you this boost of energy, knowing that like, it's not an option to go to sleep without unpacking the suitcase, right? And I will tell you, some people, they think about unpacking their suitcase. So I say, well, the way that I pack my suitcase already, and I've already talked to Maggie about this today, I'm going to create a lead magnet. I'm going to create I'm going to create an ebook or some sort of a, something, a PDF of travel tips and life hacks of how to travel properly. Because so many people want to travel. So many people want to create, all these things in their life. And every time they travel, they get thrown off their routines. And because my disciplined lifestyle was based on traveling, I had to figure out how to travel sustainably. And so when I pack, there are certain things I leave in my suitcase, zip it up, and this is my travel to go toiletry bag or whatever. And I have a double of everything. So I'm not actually unpacking everything. I'm just making sure everything goes back to where it was, square one. And then all the stuff that was in there usually has a place in my house. So it's really just putting it in its place. It's not like, oh no, I got to do this. No, the dirty laundry goes here, the thing goes here, and everything goes. So really, it doesn't take that long. It probably takes me 15 minutes total, depending on how much I have. But some people think they're unpacking for an hour. And I'm like, I'm not unpacking for an hour. That's not happening.
If you're like me, everything's dirty.
Right.
Let's just pretend and it all goes into the laundry basket.
Put it all in the laundry basket. Yeah, totally. So that's the thing, is that when you create, and that's years and years of creating a routine. Like I didn't used to have a second toiletry bag. And I was like, this is so dumb. Why am I constantly transferring all my personal stuff from my bathroom to bring it? I'm on the road all the time. Let's just get double of everything. Not that big of a deal. And so I have my travel one. I have a travel charger and I have a home charger. I don't bring my charger with me every time. Then I have to re-put it through my desk and do all the things. And then, I left it at the hotel. Now I have to get a new charger. Like these are time wasters. Just get double of everything. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't cost so much extra to get travel stuff. So, and you do it once and it's let's move on. So again, that's just one tip and trick, that I use. And that's what makes it so much easier for me to do that. I'm not spending hours doing it. So then it's a system, boom, it's done every time. Okay. So, I'm going to put this exact method in the comments section of this video. So people can actually see it, look at it, understand it, kind of like what Maggie did last time we were discussing, some of her content. And I want, please comment, like what step are you having the most trouble with? Right? Because a lot of people relate to this method in a different way. And they're like, oh man, yeah, that's the one that gets me every time. Right? So if you see it laid out like this and you start to understand like, oh man, that's where I get hung up. And now I understand why. because the method explains it. Like what is, and I think, between Maggie and I, we just really went even into more detail and gave examples of why people get hung up on some of these steps. But as Maggie said at the beginning, it's the flexibility of optimizing that routine and create, like, you don't have to hit the bullseye on the first try. That's actually goes against what this method is doing. This method is made for creating sustainable habits. I literally call it Christine's 5-step process to building sustainable habits. And I'm not just trying to create a habit that's still going to last a couple months. Mm-hmm. That's not the goal. The goal is to create a sustainable habit that becomes a part of you, that is now something you want to implement into your lifestyle and who you are. And maybe 3 years down the road, you're going to be like, okay, well, now I'm doing something different and I need to change this habit. That doesn't mean it's not sustainable anymore. That just means you need a new sustainable habit to work with your new lifestyle. But you don't want to create a habit that is not working in your life because you're not working your life to make it happen. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, again, this like flexibility like we evolve, we grow, our life circumstances change.
Yep.
And what we're doing is trying to make the best educated guess. It's like we're scientists here. It's like we're experimenting with what method we think, with all that we know, will work the best, and then receiving that feedback and adjusting accordingly. And it's like, it really, while it seems kind of complicated, it's just not. It's like once you stop forcing yourself to have to get it right on the first try, and grow your mindset into really a growth mindset. Like, how can I evolve this practice so that it works for my life where I am right now? Then that's where you start to see the sustainable success. And I just love that it's like, it grows and changes with you, and it's supposed to. We're not static beings. Like, we're constantly evolving. And so having a system that allows for that is what creates the sustainable habits.
Yeah. And these are the concepts. These are the strategies. Apply it, to what works for you. It's not just about the longevity of it that stays with you, but also it's like my habit building routine is going to be different from Maggie's habit building routine. But at the end of the day, we can still use these same 5 steps. She's still going to define the goal and eliminate the distractions. She's going to develop a routine, a consistent routine. She's going to optimize with aligned action. She's going to solidify her system, but it's going to look completely different from my 5 steps. And that's what's so cool, is that these are just concepts that you apply. I'm not giving you a step-by-step, this is what you need to do.
Right.
So yeah, very cool. Awesome. Well, I hope that served you, helped you to understand, especially, listen, we're coming up on New Year's again. Everyone loves to do the New Year's resolutions. I could go into a whole nother training about the difference between New Year's resolutions and intentions. Resolutions are a whole different thing. You want to really set intentions, but I hope that this can help some people clarify, how this can be different this year. Or again, why wait till the new year? Like Maggie said, start now, and maybe you can have your routine optimized by the new year, and boom, January 1, you're just working in a system now. It's just a part of you.